Okay, hi guys, we are going to move on to geometry. So I did say we're going to get started, so we just need to make sure today's lesson is just about covering all the basics to just get us prepared for stuff that's a little bit more difficult. So just making sure that we have the right technical terms for anything that we may need in the future. So we have a geometric figure which is shown to the right. Use letter notation to fill in the blanks. So when we talk about letter notation, we are essentially just saying use letters to describe what you need to do, where you need to go, or anything else. So just answering these questions, we have angle blank is a right angle. So I have 4 right angles in this entire thing. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and I just need to know how to describe them. So if I was to describe, say, this one right here, I would do that. But obviously, if I need letters, I can't just have it in the middle of nowhere. I need to bring it all the way down here. Okay, so that would be one of my angles. I'm not going to start from A, even though this is, whoops, sorry, don't write in red. Even though this is my angle that I want to refer to, I'm not referring to this angle over here, I'm not referring to this angle over here. I want to clarify that I'm definitely talking about this right angle. So in order to do that, I'm going to say, well, I've got C. So if I started at C and then I drew a line to A, and then I would draw another line to B, and then it's an angle. And that is how I would describe it. I'm going to say it's angle CAB. Okay, and another way to write it would be, instead of putting the angle in the front, you just pop it on the top of A. Okay, or you might just see the words written instead. So someone might say angle CAB instead, which is perfectly fine. You can write that. Okay, so you've got 3 different ways of referring to this angle. So some of you might say, well, what if I don't want CAB? What if I want to call it BAC? That's perfectly fine too. You don't have to call this CAB. You could call it BAC. It's still exactly the same angle. You're just coming at it from different directions. So both of these are the same angle. Okay, so you still have 3 other angles that you need to refer to. So if you just want to pause the video and make sure you fill them in, and then once you unpause, then you'll just have the answers, because I'll write the answers right after you unpause. Okay, so if you want to pause, I'll just carry on. So we've got angle CAB. After that, we've got this one here. So I'm going to say angle ABD. Oh, let's include angle CAB still. Okay, so that's that one. This one would be BDC. And this last one would be DCA. Okay, and just for those kind of wondering about this E, because I could theoretically have this angle and have it end at E. It doesn't have to go all the way down to D. It could just terminate at E. Okay, so some people would actually say, instead of saying ABD, I would say ABE. So instead of this one, I would call it ABE. Because they are terminating at different points, you'll be writing them in different ways. So whereas angle DBA would be exactly the same as angle ABD, this one, it is referring to the same angle, it's just starting at a different point. So although in this context we're just talking about the right angle, it wouldn't really affect it. But if you are talking about a bigger shape, and you've got loads of midpoints, you wouldn't really want to be confusing this one and this one. They're referred differently for their own cases. Okay, and because we've done the B, instead of BDC, it would be EDC. So it would be EDC. Okay. Next one, line segments. Okay, so a line, everyone knows what a line is, it's just a straight line. But the thing is, technically a line is infinite, so it just keeps going on for eternity. So when we are talking about segments, we are talking about starting and stopping points. And in reference to the shape, we start and stop at these specific letters. Okay, so I could say AB, that's a line segment. I could say BE, I could say EA. They're all different line segments. So you could come up with every single line I see here is a line segment. If I wanted to draw more lines on here, I could say BC is a line segment as well. So it would still work. So if you connect more lines, obviously I could get another one right there as well. But in this case, they're just saying which line segments are vertical. So obviously we should know that these kind of lines are vertical. The ones that go straight up and straight down. And then these ones are horizontal. So just a little bit of a reminder, obviously, for those people that just need a reminder, because hey, we all need one every once in a while. So they're saying vertical, so I need to look for the lines that are going up and down, which is these ones. Okay, so I'll give the first one, which is AC. There are 3 others, so if you want to pause it here and try and see if you can name all 3, and then you can come back and we'll go through the other 3. Okay, so we also have BD. In addition to that, because I said it can terminate at a letter, you should have been able to recognize that I can also get BE, but I could also have ED. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. They're only asking for 2, so you only need to refer to 2. But if you did see these and you thought they were line segments, well, yeah, they are. They're line segments, they're vertical. You only need to talk about 2 of them. But if you're aware of these and you use these instead of these, that's still fine. Okay, so it says shape, 3 letters, is a triangle. So you need to get 3 letters from here that make a triangle. The ones that you can obviously see is this one right here, which is A, B, D. Okay, for those people that just want to challenge themselves a little bit more, you can pause here and you can write out a list of all the other triangles I can make. So you may not necessarily see the line, so maybe if I had a line from B to C, would there be a possible triangle I could see? So that's what you need to do. So if you just want to pause now, and you should be able to see some other triangles. Okay, so I'm just going to write out the list of triangles, which is ABD, AED, ACD, ACE, BEC, BDC, and CED. Okay, so that was a triangle 3-sided shape. This time we are now going to look at a quadrilateral, so quad 4 lateral sides, so 4-sided shape. There are several different 4-sided shapes. You've got the really obvious one, which is this rectangle here, so I'm just going to refer to this one. The order of the letters is important, so obviously the way the angle follows these lines, the way a triangle would follow those lines, it's the same way when you start talking about a quadrilateral. I wouldn't say quadrilateral ABCD because it goes A, B, C, D. That's not a quadrilateral, that's just the Z. Okay, so A, B, D, C would be a rectangle. So we can say A, B, D, C. And if you want to pause here, there are 2 more trapeziums. Sorry, what did I give? I gave the name of the shapes away. There are 2 more quadrilaterals that are in there. They are both trapeziums. I gave the game away, but you should be able to find 2 more quadrilaterals. Okay, which is A, B, E, C, and I've also got A, E, D, C. Okay, if you've ever got trouble with these kind of shapes, make sure you just follow the letters. That's all you need to do. Follow the letters, it will always get you there. Okay, so next we have 9 dots. Okay, so you can draw 9 dots in your book, and we are asking how many squares can you construct using the points. Use letter notation to name each one. So you've just got 9 evenly spaced dots. You need to try and find how many squares you can find. So if you want to pause it here and write them down, and obviously just use the letter notation that we've already been using. Great. Okay, so you have A, B, E, D. You've got B, C, F, E, E, F, I, H, and then you've also got D, E, H, G. Okay, you got the big one right there, which is A, C, I, G, and if anyone noticed, there is a rhombus. Okay, so that's a B, F, H, D. Hopefully you got most of them, if not all of them. But it's just a way to practice your letter notation. You got all of them? Huzzah! Okay, so the next thing we need to look at is, I just need to briefly mention this. It's about measuring lines. Because I seem to have lost my other ruler, just going to bring out my ruler. Yay! Fabulous ruler. Okay, so ensure that you measure between points asked for. Okay, so they're asking for point CE. C is there, E is there. So obviously I'm going to go for the center of C. And then I'm going to pop E down. I always draw a line to help me out. You may not necessarily use a line. Sorry, I'll move that a bit. You may not necessarily do that, but I always use a line so I can mark up this 0 right here, and then I can mark it up against this right here. So that would be 5.8 centimeters or 58 millimeters. Because I'm going by centimeters, it says centimeters there, so I'm going by that 5.8. If I had turned it around the other way, obviously I've got millimeters on the other side of this, so if I'd done millimeters, I would have gone to 58 millimeters, which is right there. Okay, the only reason why I'm mentioning this, oh sorry, they're asking for CB as well. Let me do CB. Okay, so CB, obviously this is a line and it goes all the way from here to here. I'm not going to measure that whole line. I have seen people do that. I do not know why. I think they're just panicking. So it says CB, start from C, go to B, or the other way around, whichever way. So once I've got C, I've got B. I'm just going to measure it. The only reason why this is mentioned, that looks like 6. That looks like 6 centimeters, right? Oh, no, 5.9. Okay, so that is 5.9 centimeters, or it is 59 millimeters. I don't need both measurements. I would say only include one, especially when people are going between fractions and anything else. If you start mentioning more than one and you accidentally make a mistake, rather than actually impressing anyone, you'll actually start losing like crucial marks. So when I've seen it in the learning review, can you please ensure you just stick to one, make sure it's accurate. If it asks for something to be in fractional form, leave it in fraction form. If it asks for an exact value, don't round it up. Just make sure you do exactly what the question tells you to do. If you do that, you'll be fine, but you don't need to give 2 answers. I've only given 2 because I know some people prefer millimeters, some people prefer centimeters. I don't really mind which one you use. I'm able to convert them in my head. Okay, but in regards to this, the reason why I'm including measuring is important, especially when it comes to construction. One, if you're out by even half a centimeter, you will completely throw off the entire shape. If they ask you to draw a trapezium and you draw one angle wrong, then the entire shape is off. Or if you make one of the sides just half a centimeter too long, it will just throw off the entire shape. So your ruler usage is very crucial. I would say 2 things you need to have. 1, make sure you have a pencil that is sharpened. Most of the time people have 2 pencils just in case one of the lead breaks. You've still got the second pencil as your backup. Secondly, make sure it is within a millimeter when you are measuring it. If it is not within a millimeter, then you do get penalized because they want to see accuracy to make sure that you do know how to read a ruler. I know all of you can. It's just a note I want to make. Okay, so next thing, angles. So there are several different ways of referring to angles. Most people refer to angles by degrees, but sometimes you will hear people say, oh, the person made a full turn. How many degrees was that? Or they'll be like, oh, they did half a turn. How many degrees is that? You need to know what a turn is. So if someone says a turn is 360 degrees, we don't need to worry about radians or any other kind of degree measurement. We're only working in degrees right now. So once you get into A level, they'll give you different measurements for degrees, but at this stage 360 degrees is perfectly fine. Okay, so one turn is 360 degrees. If I have a turn, so anyone who remembers the 4 quadrants when we started doing them a little while, well, I think I mentioned them like twice, but if you remember it, huzzah! If you don't worry, you'll see it again. So a turn starts at 0, it then goes anti-clockwise to 90 degrees, anti-clockwise again to 180, then to 270, and then to 360 degrees. So when they talk about one turn, you're doing 360 degrees in an anti-clockwise motion. Okay, that's all it is. So I put a driver. I am so sorry, people. So sorry. Let me correct that. Okay, a driver performs a dive with 2.5 turns. How many degrees do they rotate through? So if it's 2.5 turns, I know a 1 turn is 360. So 2 turns is 360 plus 360, 720. Half a turn is half of 360. Half of 360 is 180. So altogether, that should be 900 degrees. They have moved through 900 degrees. And I'm not sure how many technical points the judges would give them, but it's all good. Okay, so sometimes when they talk about angles and degrees and they're asking for things, they will be asking for directions, and they will ask about compass directions, and you should know them. Okay, so when you have a compass, most people know that when you look at a map and you see N at the top, that is north. Okay, so you should know east, south and west. I always learned it by never eat shredded wheat. So I personally eat shredded wheat, so I don't know. My teacher just used to say that and it stuck in my head, so I remember it. If you can think of your own acronym, that is perfectly fine. You think of that. Or if you just remember the directions because you remember the directions, that's fine too. But you've got north, east, south, west. So once you've drawn that, then start looking at what the question is asking you. So it says Sam starts by facing north. So I'm going to say, oh, there's this starting position. Starts there. Okay. She turns clockwise to face west. Okay, so clockwise, the way a clock goes, that kind of circular motion, face west. So west is over here. This is where she ends. So she starts, moves this way, and then she ends here. How many degrees and turns has she gone through? So I know that all of these are right angles, so this would be 90 degrees. This would then be 180. And this would be 270. So when it says degrees, I know it's 270. It says how many turns. So I know a full turn would be 360, but this isn't a full turn. But you'll also notice it's quite nice and easy. So rather than having to say 270 over 360, which it would be if you were thinking officially under the way turns are defined, you could say 270 over 360, but you'll also notice it's quadrants, so you've got quarters, so 1, 2, 3, so it's actually 3 quarters. And we've said turns are anti-clockwise, so if I want to call it a turn, I'm going to have to make sure I say it's clockwise so that everyone is aware that I'm defining the actual movement as well. Okay, Asif is facing east. He turns anti-clockwise through 540 degrees. Which direction is he now facing? Okay, so I have north, east, south, west. He's facing east. So this is my start point. He turns anti-clockwise through 540. Okay, so I know a whole turn is 360. So the first thing I'm going to do, that's bigger than 360. I do not really want to deal with anything that's bigger than 360. So I'm going to take off 360. I am left with 180. Okay, so I know he's done one turn. That just means he's gone back to east. I'm just gonna now use this 180. He's going anti-clockwise. So this way, that's 90 degrees. That's 180. Okay, he ends here. This is where he ends up. He is now facing west. Okay, Alicia starts by facing southeast. Obviously, while we're going through these, if you are pausing to work out for yourself, that is perfectly fine. Please continue to do so. Okay, so Alicia starts by facing southeast. So I am not just going to draw these 4. I will be drawing the other ones as well. So I've got north, east, south, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest. Okay, so she starts southeast, which is there. This is where she starts. She turns clockwise, so this motion through 270. So that's 90. That's 180. That is 270. So she ends here. Okay, which direction is she facing? Northeast. Happy with that? Ooh. Okay, last but not least, what we need to do is look at angles. So, types of angles. If you already know this, that is perfectly fine. If you don't, I would suggest that you make notes. So, you have several different types of angles that are quite common. So, I think I recall in class someone was actually talking about at least 2 of them. Sorry, just want to make sure the focus is there. Ooh, my hand. Come on, focus. Focus. Awesome. Okay, so the first one would be if it is more than 0, but less than 90. So I'm going to call that angle A. That is my acute angle. Sorry, my writing really looks atrocious right now, and what is this focus doing? Okay, I'm going to try and be careful with my writing. Okay, so that would be an acute angle. The next one, the one where you draw a little box, that is your right angle. So that would, I'm going to call that B. B just equals 90 degrees. Okay, next one is when it is bigger than 90 degrees. So it's bigger than 90 degrees, but it is less than 180. That is your obtuse angle. Okay, this one isn't really referred to as an angle because it is just a straight line, but it is 180 degrees. So when you have like a straight line, you would expect it to be 180 degrees. This is usually only seen when you talk about angles on a straight line and you say angles on a straight line add to 180 degrees. So you usually only start seeing them in angle rules. You don't usually see it as its own rule by itself, but it's fine. Okay, and last but not least, anything that is bigger than 180 degrees is a reflex angle. Okay, oh, let's call that E. E is bigger than 180, but because we can only go to 360, we still say that it is smaller than 360 degrees. Okay, so those are the different types of angles that you do have. So you should make a note of those. If you need to pause to do so, that is perfectly fine, but you should have a note of all of those in case anyone does ask you about them. So just a little bit of a recap. The next part is I will be popping this sheet onto Google Classroom, so you can always print it out or just refer to it on there if you're able to edit the PDF. So this is just going to have a bunch of angles. It's basically asking you for a description, so you need to use the algebraic notation, and it is asking you for the type. and the estimate is more optional than anything else, but you should be able to get answers that are within a sensible kind of portion. So if you are within 10 degrees, I would say you've done pretty well when it comes to estimating. But if I saw this angle and I went, oh, it's acute, it must be 110, then I'll be a bit like, that would worry me. Okay, but because acute angles are obviously less than 90. So if you are estimating, obviously just be aware, because you're not using a protractor, you're hoping for it to be within 10 degrees, and you should be fine. So if I just went through this, I would just say, oh, okay, well, what kind of angle is this? Sorry, this one's already filled out. This one I kind of already filled out, so I'm just going to start on the third one. It'll be fine. Just to give you an example. So if I wanted to talk about this one, I would say, well, first of all, nice and easy, less than 90. What type of angle is that? That is an acute angle. Already written it down. I know what type of angle it is. Okay. How would I refer to this angle? So if I had to describe this angle to someone else, otherwise I would say angle GHI, or I would say angle IHG. I don't mind which one you choose. Okay. Me personally, I would have just gone for this one because it's the first one that came to mind. But if you chose that one first, it's exactly the same. No one minds. Okay, when it comes to measurement, I don't know, I'm just going to call that 25. Let's call that 25 degrees. Okay, and then do the same all the way down. So this side, it's already told you the angle is called ABC. So I'm expecting you to mark it up as ABC. And then it says what type of angle it is. It gives you what the estimate is, and then you just have to draw the angle. So it's told me it's 70 degrees. The only angle that would be 70 degrees is something that is less than 90 degrees. So I know this one's going to be acute. Yeah. And then when it actually comes to the angle itself, you need it to be less than 90, but don't like that one. Let's do this one. Less than 90, but I don't want it tiny like this. That's a tiny angle. Okay, I want it to be a little bit bigger, maybe about 20 degrees off, about there. But because it's called ABC, make sure you label it up. I'm going to call it A, B, C. That's all you need to do for this entire sheet. Okay, so if you just want to take that, make sure you actually fill it out. I'm also going to put some additional notes, worksheets onto Google Classroom, so you have an opportunity to go through them. Obviously it goes all the way up to question 9. If you can fill out one whole A4 side, that means you've got the basics. If you go on to the next side, obviously you are reaching for more problem solving kind of questions, so you're just thinking about the knowledge a bit more. But obviously this is more of a recap or maybe a slight introduction to some of the things. So angle notation, quite a few people haven't seen that before, but when it comes to type of angles, quite a lot of you already know types of angles like acute and obtuse. So some of it you will know, some of it you won't know, but I'm going to put a few worksheets. So if you do finish all of them, that's perfectly fine. I will be popping answers up as well before the end of day, just so you can actually double check. Okay, take care, bye. Oh yeah, email or anything else if you need any kind of questions, help, anything else. Obviously Google Classroom is there and you can just open up a question on the stream, and if anyone else can answer it, obviously they'll be able to answer it. If you email me, that will just be me, but if you put it on the stream, everyone else that is doing the work, and if they can help you out, we'll probably help you out as well, because you guys are pretty awesome at helping each other out. Okay, take care.